Hi everyone, Chris Drake here at Drake Darcy, and for the next instalment of my key takeaways with series, I'm delighted to be joined by Premal Parekh. Premal is a experienced CFO and FD within multiple sectors, most recently leading the finance function for the London Stock Exchange Group's real estate division. Prem, great to see you.
Thank you, Chris. Pleasure to be here in the boiler room of Battersea Power Station. A lot fancier than the boiler rooms that I've been involved in the past in audit life.
Okay.
Yeah. So much nicer than that. Thank you for having me here.
Probably different decades, I'm sure. But
yes.
But fantastic. Well, thanks again for sharing your insights with us today. I guess first off, can you tell us a bit about yourself and your background?
Sure. So my career probably spans about just over 20 years, and it spans across multiple sectors. So hospitality, real estate, leisure, professional services, financial services, and starting out in hospitality and waitering and catering businesses, and restaurant businesses, to working in audit, M&A, corporate finance advisory, and then doing traditional finance roles. Into my last role, or most recent role, is as a finance director at the London Stock Exchange Group. So PLC, 8 billion turnover business, 25,000 staff. Been in that role, in that business for about 4 to 5 years. Been through a huge acquisition of Refinitiv a couple of years ago. So working very closely with the integration team to make sure we have a real estate portfolio that's fit for purpose, and also getting involved in lots of other investments under the Chief Operating Officer's remit, and working with his leadership team to drive that business forward.
Okay, fantastic. I guess that's some of your more recent career. What were your earliest experiences of work, and why did you choose a career in accounting and finance?
Sure. So my career started when I was just finished GCSEs, wanted to earn some cash, so I joined Brewers Fayre as a waiter. Did that for one summer period, and realised that every day I came back smelling of smoke. So that was the days when people were able to smoke in restaurants.
Yeah.
So I changed my role and moved to Selfridges in Manchester as a waiter in a restaurant. It's where I really learned the difference between hospitality and giving people a service, and a great service, and serving others, which was fantastic experience. And what I realised during my A-level times is I love and enjoy maths, business studies, and that took me to picking accounting and finance at university. And I was one of those in my cohort that said, I will not become an accountant at the end of this. Hold me known, a year later, I joined Grant Thornton's graduate trainee program as an auditor, and that's where my career started.
Okay, fantastic. I guess what's one of the most challenging lessons you've learned in your career so far?
Good question. So I've definitely made a lot of mistakes, and I learned a lot from those mistakes. I feel like you learn more from them than your successes. One of the key lessons that I've learned throughout my career is honesty is the best policy. If you don't know something, don't be afraid to admit that, so that people around you can support you to bridge that gap. And also, it sets a level playing field with whoever you're engaging with, whether it be another CFO in the business or a C-suite member. If you don't know something, work together to break down the problem. What I also have learned is, the last few years, is making sure that if there is an issue or a problem, whether it's someone has made a mistake in my team or I made a mistake, flag early, escalate early, do it quickly, share that problem with the people who are around you, because then you can address that issue. If you leave it too late, you let it fester, sometimes a problem can grow out of your control, and that's never a good place to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess right up to modern day. In a world of generative AI automation, what are the skills that you think are important for finance leaders to learn or maintain?
Okay. So one thing I've really focused on this year is actually being part of various peer-to-peer communities. One of them being the FP&A Trends group. And what I've learned from that, we did a survey earlier on this year asking a very similar question. And FP&A skills are still up there as the most attractive for the finance professionals. But the biggest skill that has really grown in popularity and the demand for it has increased is finance business partnering. And that communication, that engagement, that collaboration with business partners or people in the commercial business, I think will continue to be there. I think it'll be the strongest skill. I believe that automation, AI will take over a lot of responsibilities in the business, but that communication, that bridging the gap, and really understanding how P&L, balance sheet, cash flow will be impacted by the business decisions will still remain key. And that's where business partners can be great co-pilots to the company.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there any other ways that you'd recommend, I guess, being able to keep up with those advancements?
Absolutely. I think technology is an enabler, and embracing that where you can. Learning the systems and the processes, I think, is really important in whichever company that you're in, to really understand how to get stuff done and how things get done. I also would say that FP&A Trends is one community of several I'm part of. And I think being part of peer groups where you're learning and discussing challenges together is really important in this day and age, where you can break down problems pretty quickly between people who've been there and done that. Any problems that I've seen in the last 10, 15 years, someone's already seen that problem and resolved it. So nothing is really that new. But being part of communities like Growth CFO, Gen CFO, CFO advisory roles that I've taken up as well with different boards and research companies has allowed me to have a different insight, a step into the shoes of others. How do they solve their problems? And technology, keeping up with it. There's so much out there. We're at a place right now where there's probably too much and you're not sure where to go and how to use it. And I think that really means trying to keep abreast of this and really what's important for you as a business and what ties back into your company strategy.
No, fantastic. I think yes, some really, really good advice there. And I think it's the openness and that sort of communication where we are and shared problems and sort of shared experiences, I think. I guess speaking of which, for those who are early in or mid-career in finance, what advice would you give them?
I would say that finance is so broad and we're in a very, very privileged position in any company that you're in, that you can use the data in various different ways. And right now, every decision, in my opinion, should be based as much as possible on data-driven insights. And you could be looking at, for example, salary and pay and doing an equity audit. Are males and females being paid equally? Does this strategy stack up from the scenarios that you've planned out for the business over the next 1 year, 3 years, 5 years? You can involved in understanding what the data represents in that company, and also saying yes to projects that are in your role, that are in your scope, but absolutely outside of your scope. Go and work on projects where possible with other parts of the business. Go and speak to the marketing team, go and speak to the procurement team, see where you can add value, where you can be a second pair of eyes even. So it may not even be a formal project, it may just be, I'll be happy to look over that contract with you and understand the mechanics of that contract, because that is how businesses are built. They're built on legal contracts. So take yourself out of your comfort zone and invest the time where possible in other areas of the business.
Yeah, I think great advice. I'd say from a recruiter's perspective, the individuals who have pushed for and are able to broaden their experience and broaden their networks. I guess it's that approach and that breadth of experience that prospective employers are going to be looking for as well. And that can be the differentiator between two people who are sort of very, very sort of similar on paper, really.
100%. And also, that's a network. And I think that's where you really start developing better network of people, when they can start seeing your ability and where you can value add. There's a whole thing between performance equity and relationship equity in a business, which I'm getting to know more and more now than ever before, where when you're doing your role, you're building on your performance equity. It's when you surpass what you do in your role, you really start ticking boxes and getting runs on the board. And that will then put you in a better place to build on your relationship equity within your company. Therefore, senior leaders recognize you, recognize your skill set, and recognize actually they're happy to give you more opportunities to grow, learn, develop. And that then can lead to things like mentorship, sponsorship from executive boards. I think that's where it will help you in your career and help you develop, and not just in the business you're in, outside of your business.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I think that sort of seeking out sort of mentors as well, both within the business and outside, is invaluable. Who or what has been your biggest source of inspiration?
Family. So I'd say my father and my mother both drew me in very different ways. My father was a sales director at a company throughout my life, and he was made redundant just as I was starting university.
Okay.
So tough time for him. And then he went to start his own business, and he still works today. It's 20 years on, and he dabbles, should we say? But he's an inspiration because he's great at building relationships, maintaining them, nurturing them. And my mother was always very focused on academia, but also having fun and growing and looking after the rest of your family unit. So both have been inspirations. Outside of family, in addition to family, my wife as well. She's an absolute realist. I can be the optimist, but I've learned to be the realist as well. I think for any aspiring finance leader, you need to possess both, especially when you look at different scenarios. And the last person I'd say is my inspiration throughout my life has probably been controversial for some of your viewers, will be Sir Alex Ferguson.
Okay.
I'm a huge Man United supporter. I know you are as well, Chris.
Yeah.
But I love the nuggets of information that I see and hear on Sir Alex Ferguson, reading his books as well. I think he possesses great leadership qualities. And for me, a true test is some of the players that he's worked with and their feedback on what they have learned. Likes of Cristiano Ronaldo, Gary Neville, Patrice Evra, they all keep him high regard.
Yeah.
And what I've also learned from that is you don't have to be the best at everything, but you have to work hard to be able to achieve and get success.
No, fully agree. And what would you get most passionate about professionally?
For me, it's about I love understanding how business works in different businesses, which is why I really enjoy being in different sectors over my career. And then where I can really add value. I really enjoy that, and I really enjoy being able to support and serve others in the company. We as finance directors, CFOs, we have the position where we can say no a lot. But I love it when I can say no, but I can try and help you get there, get to a better place. And that to me is where we, in our problem-solving mindset, and where we have a finger in a lot of pies in a business, we can really then look at things holistically and add value and add value to strategy, to execution, to implementation. That's what I get really passionate about.
Fantastic. Prem, thank you for sharing your insights today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Chris.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Bye, everyone.